Okie dokie. All right. So, okay. Get ourselves nice and comfortable. Start my timer. And we can go ahead and you can start in Sukhasana or another comfortable seated position. Rest your hands wherever they feel comfortable, either in the lap, palms together, or palm shining up on the knees to receive, or palm shining down on the knees to ground. You can close your eyes or keep your gaze out soft. Begin to connect with your breath, noticing it pass in and out through your nose. And as you continue to take your inhales and exhales, make them a little longer each time. And to expand through the chest on the inhale, sending it down to the belly. And exhale, feeling everything pull back in. And I pulled a little affirmation card for us, and it says, when I lead from a place of love, people respect me. When I lead from a place of love, people respect me. You can choose to use this as your own little personal affirmation for class. If it resonates with you, and if it doesn't resonate with you, you're more than welcome to create your own intention, your own affirmation. And just notice, depending on again, how it sits with you, the things that come up when you hear, when I lead from a place of love, people respect me. The feelings that come up, the thoughts that come up. Notice if it sits with a positive or a negative experience. You might ask yourself, why is it that it makes you feel the way that it does, positive or negative? We have a new moon coming up this week, actually. New moons are all about growing and expanding, creating something new. So if you have an idea or an intention or something you'd like within yourself or in the physical world to, come to manifest and become a reality, this week is the week to start putting your energy into maybe forming a new habit or tackling one project that you've been putting off for a little while. You have the opportunity to create anything. Maybe you create a mantra or an affirmation for yourself, or use one that we've come up with in class to start something new within yourself. Let's go ahead and begin to get started. You can bring a little smile to your face if it feels good. Smile helps to relieve all your tension, even a forced one. And we can blink our eyes open, and let's go ahead and start out in tabletop pose just to warm up that spine. So we can come onto our hands and knees. And I'm going to have to take it a little bit gentle on the knees, because when we were with the kids over the weekend at the jump place, not only did I continuously pee my pants, but I knocked my knee so hard that I bruised it, and it is just so tender.
Oh no.
I know, and I'm like, oh well, we're 30 now, so it's all downhill from here. So let's go ahead.
Oh yes, happy early birthday.
Oh yes, yes.
Right.
My almost first anniversary for my 29th birthday. If we watch, it's a Scrubs reference. Let's go ahead and start in our cat and cow. So you can drop the belly, lift the gaze, curl the tailbone up towards the sky, take a big breath in. Might feel into that spine, start waking it up. Any little movements here. And exhale, round it into the spine, into your cat back, pull the navel in, push the floor away from you. Yeah, there's something like a little age reality check, like going and following your kids in a very active gymnastics setting. Let's go ahead and round it back into our cow pose, dropping the belly. And exhale, round it into your cat. We'll go through this a few more rounds. You can move at your own pace, your own breath here. Inhaling and exhaling through cat and cow. Add any kind of movements that feel good here. Waving the tailbone. Literally anything. Lean it forward and back. And go ahead and finish whatever round you're on. And we'll go ahead and meet back in our tabletop pose. And we will walk the arms out, coming into puppy pose, Uttanasana Shishasana. I'm working on the Sanskrit still. So you can walk the arms out, press the chest down towards the floor, rest the forehead. If you have your blocks, you can bring one under the forehead or the hands, the elbows, whatever feels good to lift the floor up to you. Otherwise, just breathe into those shoulders. Pressing the chest down towards the floor, pull the navel into the spine. Stack the hips over the knees. The flexibility allows and you start to open it up, you can come to look up in between the palms, resting on the chin. Only if it feels all right in the neck. Let's go ahead and press back into the floor, walk those arms back in, and we will prep the wrists here because we're going to jump right into downward facing dog. So let's go ahead and start to roll out the wrists just to make sure that they're nice and warmed up. And start going one way, and then going the opposite. This is a very power-driven flow. We won't be moving fast, but a lot of strength in this one, as is, this is yoga for strength, so it's good. So I'm going to turn to face you. I'm going to come a little bit closer. We're going to get into the, fronts and backs of the wrists. So we're going to start by taking the arms out into a T, palms starting facing up towards the ceiling. And you're going to widen through the chest here. Try to drop the shoulders down the back. And you might even start to feel the nerves pulling just by opening up in this motion. We're going to try to open the hands up, outward towards the room. That feeling, that numbing, tingling, might really get intense. It's so strange how you can feel it in the fingers, all the way to the tips of them. And then go ahead and release and shake the arms out a little bit, and then we'll switch. So we're going to start to rotate the arms so that the backs of the hands are face down towards the floor, and you'll have like an internal rotation of the shoulders here. Keep the shoulders down and away from the ears again, and you can fold the hands back towards the face. Won't feel that same numbing, tingling. You might feel that nice stretch. Try to keep the fingers spread as much as you can. Feels a little funky. You can go ahead and release if it feels good. You can shake the hands out again. And then I'm going to give you two options here. You can come into downward facing dog and start there, or you can stay in tabletop. We're going to do some knee to nose actions. I'm going to choose to do downward facing dog, so I don't have to hang out on my knee, but the same thing applies whichever level you'd like to start off with. We're going to do the knee to nose. So in the tabletop pose, you're going to extend that right leg back behind you, engaging through the glutes, pulling in through the core, pressing the floor away from you, creating a nice long spine. And then with the knee to the nose, you're going to round that spine, try to pull the knee into the chest. You might even tuck the chin. Oops. And then you'll re-extend that leg back out. We're looking for a lot of engagement here, keeping the glutes in the back strong instead of trying to lift that leg up towards the sky, flailing out through the spine. I want to try to keep that spine nice and neutral. Really focusing on that core and bringing the knee to the chest and re-extending it back out. And if you choose the downward facing dog version, you'll send those hips up to the sky, extend into the three-legged dog, Ekapada Ardha Mukha Svanasana, and you'll go ahead and come forward into a plank, bringing that knee into the chest. Same kind of deal. The leg stays in line with the spine instead of flailing that leg up and over. All the engagement should be focused on the glutes, the core, pressing the floor away. And try not to hold your breath here. Inhaling and exhaling through your motions. Let's go ahead and do one more. And then wherever you are, my glasses, my goodness. You can come back into your tabletop pose. And we will go ahead. If you're in tabletop, let's go ahead and meet up in our downward facing dog. Sending the hips up to the sky. Taking a moment here. You can pedal the feet out. Press the chest down towards the tops of the thighs, squeezing those biceps along the ears. And we'll go ahead and start our flow. We're going to take our right foot, we're going to step it up in between our palms. I like to do this. The easiest way I like to do this is to, when I am taking that leg, I'm going to come up onto the fingertips, really send those hips up as high as I can. And then you can grab that foot, throw it up there as needed. You just want to make this space. Once your foot's up in between the palms, you might need to walk the back foot in just a little bit. We're going to come into warrior one. So you're going to take that foot, the back foot at a 45-degree angle, press into the feet, rising all the way up, squaring the hips off to the top of the mat. Nice bend in the right leg. And you might need to adjust your stance here. I like to toe heel the right foot out just a little bit. So my stance ends up being a little bit wider than hip width distance because it just feels better in my pelvis. If warrior one is one of those poses that just does not agree with your hips, you can take high lunge as an alternative, pointing both feet up towards the top of the mat. And then we're going to open it up into warrior two. So you're going to have to pivot that back foot so it's almost parallel with the short edge of your mat. Keep that bend in the right leg and tracking that knee open. The arms come out into your T and try to engage through the core, pressing into both the feet. You can feel that engagement in the pelvic floor too. In the back foot, you should be able to feel the back edge, the outside edge of it wrap down towards the floor. Let's go ahead and straighten through the right leg. We're going to turn both the feet so that they're parallel to the short edge of our mat. We're going to take wide-legged forward fold. So let's go ahead and bring our hands to our hips. And we're going to hinge from the hips, folding forward, releasing the crown of the head and the arms down towards the ground. This is an awesome place for blocks to lift up the floor. That way you might be able to take the shoulders a little bit more down the back if you feel any pressure in the neck or the head. You might play with the weight, sending it into your heels, sending it into the balls of the feet or the toes. The further forward you lean, the more intense you're going to feel it. You can always have a micro bend in the knees. Let's go ahead and press into the floor. We're going to walk it back up to the top of the mat. So we're going to turn to face the right foot. The right foot should be leading still. We're going to come into a runner's lunge stance. So the back knee is lifted. This is also a great place for blocks to lift up off the floor a little bit higher to make space. And let's go ahead and see if you can plant through the palms. And you're going to step that right foot back into downward facing dog, or you can try to sweep that right leg up towards the sky, coming into your three-legged dog, Ika Pada Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Otherwise, meet me back in downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. And we'll take our vinyasa. You can inhale, come forward into your plank pose. From your plank, you can stay all the way up, or you can lower the knees, whatever works for you. And we'll go ahead and exhale all the way down to the floor. We're going to go ahead and come into cobra. So you're going to plant those hands in line with the shoulders, press into the tops of the feet, lift the gaze, rising the chest off the floor. And go ahead and release it all the way down. Let's go ahead and do this 2 more times. So on your next inhale, rise up. And exhale, release it down. Inhale and rise. And exhale, release. And we're going to go ahead and do that whole sequence on the second side. So you can press up into your tabletop pose or take your downward facing dog. Whatever you choose, like in your tabletop pose, you're going to extend that left leg back, engaging through the core, strong through the left leg and the glute. And then bringing that knee into the chest, pushing the floor away from you, really focusing on that engagement of the core, and then re-extending the leg. If you do the three-legged dog, knee to nose variation, again, extending that left leg up towards the sky, bringing it forward into your plank pose, knee to chest. And exhale, extending the leg back up to the sky. And flow with your own breath here. Let's go ahead and do one more. And you can go ahead, bring that foot down, go back into your tabletop pose. And we will jump into our warrior sequence. So we'll walk it out into our downward facing dog. Whenever you're ready. Taking a few breaths here. And let's go ahead and take that left foot up in between the palms. Again, I'm going to send those hips up as high as I can, coming up onto the left fingertips, making some space for that left foot. You might want to walk the back foot in, rotating it at a 45-degree angle, press into the feet, coming into our warrior one. Again, take your adjustments here. Widen the feet if you need to. Bend through the left knee. Let's go ahead and take one more inhale here. And on your next exhale, open it up into your warrior two and pivoting the back foot so it's almost parallel, tracking that left knee open. Nice and strong here. And pressing into those feet, feeling the outside edge of the right foot wrapping down towards the floor. Go ahead and take one more inhale here. And on your exhale, extend or straighten through the left leg. Instead of coming into wide-legged forward fold, we are going to come into goddess. So I'm going to turn so that I can still face you. We're going to turn so that both the feet are, we're going to turn towards the side of the mat. Should start there. Towards the feet, or the toes are at, slow down. The toes are out, the heels are in. Goddess, we know. And let's start with going ahead, bringing the hands up towards the sky in a 5-point star. We're going to flow just a little bit through this goddess. We'll go ahead and take an inhale here in our 5-point star. And then on your exhale, start to bend through the elbows, bend into those knees, coming into your goddess squat, squeezing through the glutes, pulling in through the abs, the pelvic floor, press those knees open, trying to stack the torso over the hips. If you have to lean forward a little bit, that's all right, but try to keep the spine nice and long. And we'll go ahead and inhale, straighten those legs, reach and extend the arms into your star. And exhale, squat it down as low as you can in your goddess. Inhale, reach and extend. Exhale, sink it down. Inhale one more time. Exhale, last time, sink it low. Inhale, rise and go ahead. Release, shake it out. I'm gonna turn so I can still face the top of my mat. And we're gonna rotate towards the front of the mat. Left foot is now leading. We're gonna cartwheel those hands down to the floor into our runner's lunge stance. And then we'll go ahead and plant through the palms. And we're going to send it back to our downward facing dog, or you can sweep that left leg up into our 3-legged dog, meeting back in our down dog. Whichever one works for you. Once we're back in our downward facing dog, we'll go ahead and come forward into our plank pose. And exhale, go ahead and lower all the way down to the floor again. Coming back into our cobra, press into the hands, roll the shoulders down the back and rise up. And exhale, release. Let's go ahead and press it back into Malasana or Balasana, child's pose. So you can widen those knees as much as comfortable. Walking the arms down long, resting the forehead here. Sending your breath down to the belly. As we start to slow down a little bit, we're going to recall our intention if you set one at the beginning of class. Or we can repeat the affirmation. When I lead from a place of love, people respect me. When I lead from a place of love, people respect me. And while we're still in our child's pose, you could ask yourself, what characteristics that you possess mean for you when you lead from a place of love? How do you lead from a place of love? Let's take one more nice big breath in our child's pose. And on your exhale, you can start to press it back up into tabletop pose. And from our tabletop, we are going to work our way up to the top of our mat. There's no wonderful little transition to get here. You just step your way up. Let's go ahead and meet in a halfway lift, a little transition here. Taking your breath in. And on your exhale, taking our first forward fold of this flow. If the hamstrings are still a little tight, you can bend the knees as much as you need to here. And trying to hinge from the hips as much as possible. Let's go ahead and send our weights into our heels, getting into the spine a little bit. We're gonna roll the spine all the way up to stand, nice and slow. Coming into Tadasana, mountain pose, whenever you get there. Taking a moment to reconnect with the breath, reconnect with your body. Well, we're going to come into Malasana or Yogi Squat. Let's go ahead and toe heel the feet to the outside edges of the mat, heels and toes out. And take them as wide as you need to here, making space for the pelvis. We're going to reach and extend the arms up towards the sky, taking your inhale in. And then on your exhale, hands together at the center of your heart. So just sink it down into your low squat, your Malasana. Lengthening out through the spine, lifting through the chest. Squeeze those glutes, squeeze the core, the pelvic floor. Use the elbows to press the knees apart a little bit deeper. And let's go ahead. See if you can just set those hips down. Coming to sit down on the sit bones. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish off with a little bit of core. before we get into Shavasana. So we're gonna do our classic Navasana boat pose. You're gonna try to find that sweet spot on your tailbone, engage through the belly, pointing that chest up towards the sky, arms come down by your sides. And you might start by picking the feet up off the floor. And if it feels all right and you feel yourself engaging, you can lift those legs up a little bit higher, maybe parallel with the floor. Continue pulling into that belly, lifting through the spine. If it feels good, you might come into the full extension, extending those legs up straight. You could do a little bit of both. And we'll, on your next inhale, take your big breath in. And then on your exhale, we're going to extend the legs so they hover off the floor. And you're going to lower so the shoulders hover off the floor in our low boat. Keep engaging through the belly. Oh, yeah. And then on your next inhale, see if you can rise it back up into your boat pose, your high boat. And then on your exhale, see if you can come back into your low boat. Make some space between your chin and your chest. Inhale, lift it up into your high boat. You got it. Exhale, lower. See if we can do one more. We got it. We got one more. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. And then go ahead and release it all the way down.
Oh.
Shake your legs, shake whatever. You do any kind of windshield wipering. You might have felt that a lot in the hip flexors too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and bring those knees into the chest. And rock back and forth to massage your lower back. It feels good. And then we'll start to come into Happy Baby, Ananda Balasana. You can start with taking the hands, widening the knees, letting gravity do the work here. And if it feels good, you can come into the full extension of the pose, lifting those feet up to the sky, grabbing hold of the ankles, the shins, big toes, outside edges of the feet. Use those elbows to press the knees apart while pulling the legs down towards the floor, grounding down through the tailbone. And then we'll go ahead and release your hold. If there's any other movements, any other poses you'd like to do before we enter Shavasana, do so now. If you wanted to, again, windshield wiper those legs a little bit more, extend the legs up to the sky, do some twists, whatever feels good here. Slowing our breath, starting to soften through the body, preparing ourselves for our Shavasana. And whenever you're ready, you can extend yourself out in your Shavasana, taking up space. Roll the shoulders down the back, bringing your arms down by your sides, palms shining up towards the sky. Before we really get settled in here, let's go ahead and take a big breath in through the nose. And exhale, release everything out of your lungs. The body grows heavier and heavier and heavier. You soften through the face, releasing the space between your eyebrows. Relax the jaw. Maybe the tongue comes away from the roof of the mouth. Enjoy your few minutes of doing absolutely nothing, allowing our bodies to process everything we've just done. Let's go ahead and start deepening our breath. Coming back to center. Move as slow as you'd like to.
Start by wiggling fingers and toes. Rolling out the wrists and the ankles. Reach the arms up overhead for a full body stretch. If it feels good to you, you can turn to one side, pause in a little fetal position.
Having trouble hearing you. There's noise upstairs right now. Sorry.
Go ahead and wrap it up then. And pause for a moment. Checking in with the self. You can bring the hands together at the center of the heart for Anjali Mudra. I'll repeat our little affirmation one more time. When I lead from a place of love, people respect me. I like to finish this practice by chanting Om one time. You do not have to participate, but if you'd like to, exhale everything out of your lungs. Inhale deeply, chant big breath in. And you may bow forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. All of a sudden, somebody upstairs flushed the toilet and there's running